This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. Chairman Dennis couldn't be here today. He had another commitment, so he asked me to fill in for him today. So welcome to the April 12th, 2022 Transportation Policy Board for the Wichita Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. Glad everyone could join us today, either here or virtually. And we'll go ahead and get started with the agenda. So I know everybody's got a busy day and wants to keep moving along. So I would make a motion that we approve April 12th, 2022 agenda. Do I have a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Fantastic. The next is approval of the March 8th, 2022 meeting minutes. I would make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. We'll go into the director's report. Chad.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, members of Transportation Planning Body. Overview of today's meeting, we have TIP amendment and an update on roadway functional classification, and also the economic development update, that series that we planned for this year. And then Andrew from Chamber of Commerce is also presenting Heartland Flyer Extension as well. In the overview on the director's report, that's an overview. And then in your packet, there is WAMPO Regional Economic Development Schedule that how, on page 8, we have some speakers lined up until July 2022. So the next couple are from City of Wichita and then Park City. And then staff is still reaching out to member jurisdictions to update their economic development plans. And so that's just a update for you on that. And travel demand model, let me request Ashley to present travel demand model status. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the travel demand model, you may recall that we've been working on updating our travel demand model, but we are now coordinating with KDOT staff on revising the procurement procedures and timelines. So we will be coming back to you with that later.
Thank you, Ashley. The next item on this report is the quarterly UPWP report. That's Unified Planning Work Program that documents staff activities of transportation planning every quarter. That's in your packets as well, from pages 9 through 17. And then the next item is on TIP development. That is fiscal years 2023 and 2026. So let Ashley.
Thank you. So as Chad said, we're working on the new federal fiscal year 23 to 26 TIP. We did a call for projects that ended on March 9th. We received over 30 projects worth over $117 million. That's a lot more than the money we have available. And so the project selection committee has been working hard to work through that process and make a recommendation of projects. That will be coming to TAC next meeting and then to TPB the following, your next meeting.
Thank you, Ashley. That is always a difficult task for the project selection members, and they had been meeting, and it is extremely difficult to make such decisions, but we are thankful to project selection committee members. Ashley, on the MP.
All right. So the next thing is a very short overview of NPO 101, and we can do a much more in-depth one with new TPB members if you're interested. Just please let us know. So there are 4 required core plans, and they're listed here. The Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP, is our long-range plan that sets the vision for what we want transportation to look like for 20 years in our area. We redo this plan every 5 years. The Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, is redone every 2 years, and we do amendments about quarterly to make sure it is up to date, and that has a 4-year horizon, and that implements the MTP. The Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP, is our yearly budget, and that says what we're going to be working on. And then our Public Participation Plan says how we're going to do all this planning, and we update that every 5 years. So, as I mentioned, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan is the big overarching vision for the region. And then the TIP implements that vision, and then it goes from TIP to actual construction. We do have other required plans as well. They're all listed here. And I won't say that first one because it's really long to say fast. But Title VI, Limited English Proficiency, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and ITS. And then we have some other plans that we work on as well: Safe Routes to School, Bicycle, Pedestrian Safety. And as I mentioned, we would love to go over this in more depth with you all, with especially new members. Just please let us know when that would be convenient. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And Madam Chair, back to you.
Is there any questions for Chad or for Ashley? All right, thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your updates. Seeing none, we'll go on to the 3rd agenda item, which is public comment. Do we have anyone for public comment today, either virtually or with us in the room? All right, moving on, we'll go to new business. The first item is A, action. I think, Ashley, you have this one, is that correct?
Yes, I have the first part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, the Transportation Improvement Program is fully developed every 2 years, but we do TIP amendments in the meantime so we can make sure the document is up to date, and those are done about quarterly. Projects have to be amended rather than administratively adjusted if they meet any of these bullets here. Most of the time it's if projects increase in cost by at least 25% or $5 million, whichever is less, or if a project is added or removed from the TIP. So this is the regular schedule that we're doing TIP amendments this year and next year. We do have the opportunity to do special amendments if we need to, and we actually will need to. So we'll be doing a special amendment for a project on Kellogg, and that will come to you all in June. So now I'm going to turn over to Nick to do more of the details.
Thank you, Ashley. So you can find information on this proposed TIP amendment on pages 23 through 36 of your packet, as well as on the WAMPO website at wampo.org/Transportation Improvement Program. We have one project that only requires an administrative adjustment this time around, and 7 projects that require formal action by this body. 5 are new projects being added to the TIP, and 2 are projects being significantly modified. You can see a map and list of the projects on page 22 of the packet, as well as on this slide. The first project being added is Bridge 132 on US 54 in Sedgwick County, a KDOT project being added in the amount of $1,396,464 for preliminary engineering in 2022 using state and NHPP funds on US 54 within the interchange with Interstate 235. At this time, it does not have construction programmed to it, just preliminary engineering. And similarly, we have bridge number 305 on I-135 in Sedgwick County. Again, a KDOT project in 2022 with preliminary engineering for right now, not yet construction, in the amount of $1 million in the amount of $864,996. And the bridge is on one of the ramps at the interchange between US 54 and I-135. Next is bridges 094 and 095 on I-235 in Sedgwick County, a new project in the amount of $657,391, a KDOT project with preliminary engineering in 2022, again with no construction programmed yet, state and NHPP funds, and it is the bridges of I-235 over Zoo Boulevard. The first project that is being changed, that is already in the tip, is K42 in Sedgwick County, also a KDOT project, and it covers the section of K42 in southwest Sedgwick County from the Sumner County line up to the unincorporated community of Clonmel. This one is adding the construction and construction engineering phases. And as a result, the cost increase is substantial, $12,877,200 coming from state and KDOT distributed surface transportation block grant funds, not to be confused with WAMPO sub-allocated surface transportation block grant funds. Also, there's a change to the scope, updated contact information, and a change to a conversion payback year for advanced construction funds. The other project that is being significantly modified is I-235, I-135, K-254, and K-96 Interchange Gold Project Wichita, which is part of the North Junction project. Again, this is a KDOT project. The cost estimate has been increased by $19,954,000. The scope has been edited. The new funds are coming from state and NHPP funds, and there's been a change to the construction engineering funding to make it come entirely from state funds. And the advanced construction arrangement that had been programmed on the preliminary engineering phase has been removed. It is now just regular non-advanced construction. And the next new project is discovery phase for US 54 East Kellogg Avenue in Sedgwick/Butler counties. This is entirely funded with state funds from KDOT for the discovery phase of the project to convert the section of US 54 between K96 and Prairie Creek Road to a limited access freeway. And the other new project is US 54 East Kellogg Avenue in Sedgwick/Butler counties. Refers to the same project as that discovery phase that just mentioned. And I just realized I forgot to mention the amount on the discovery phase. That is $1,050,000. And for the non-discovery phase part, which for right now is only showing the preliminary engineering phase, is for the amount of $34,750,000. Again, it's a KDOT project on US 54 between K96 and Prairie Creek Road for conversion to limited access freeway on that section. And a quick note on this one, it is highly likely that this project will soon be amended again in the special amendment that Ashley just mentioned. But we have not yet received all the information on that, and this request came after it was too late to include it in the regularly scheduled Amendment 6. And so look for this again when Special Amendment 6.5 comes to this body in a couple months. And we've also sent out a call to other jurisdictions for projects that they would like to see included in the special amendment, just in case, so that we can get them at the same time. And so we sent this out to the administrative contact staff people for those projects, for the projects that are already in the 2021 to 2024 tip, and asked them to tell us this week whether or not they have a project that they would like to work with us to get into that. And then we would work to get it in the next week. And then finally, the one project that we have that's merely an administrative adjustment this time, Academy Avenue improvements from Maze Road to Maze City Park, a 2022 City of Maze project, where the only change being made is to the contact information. This project has been through the public comment and review period for 30 days, ending right before the TAC meeting where they made their recommendation for this body to consider today. This amendment is consistent with the Metropolitan Transportation Plan Reimagined Move 2040. It is fiscally constrained, and it adds $71.5 million in estimated project cost. Your options are to approve the amendment as proposed, or to not approve it, or to approve it with specific changes. And the Technical Advisory Committee recommended to approve it as proposed.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Ashley or for Nick? Hearing none, I will move that we approve the amendment as proposed. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll go down to the next item. It's an update, the federal functional classification map, and that's with Nick.
Hi, I just have one quick thing to kind of set the stage. So the federal functional class map really reflects the number of people that are using the roadway, and it can change over time. And so these updates that we're doing are to reflect current conditions and what the roadways are like now. So I will now give it back to Nick.
Thank you. These slides have already been presented to this body at their last meeting, so I won't dwell on them too much. Suffice to say, for those who came in late, federal functional classifications 1 through 7 are applied to roadways in the region and nationally, from interstate down to local roads, and the maps and table included in your packet on pages 39 through 42 reflect the same information that was shown in your packet last month. However, we have gotten recommendations from other requests from other jurisdictions since then of other changes they would like to see to our functional classifications. But those have not yet been incorporated here because not all of them have been vetted by KDOT staff yet to make sure that they are all right. We jurisdictions were given through today to submit their requests for this. And so now we are going to put all those together with the help of KDOT staff. And then at the April 25th TAC meeting, the full map and list will be presented, and then their recommendation will go to this body on May 10th. So just an update on that and to let you know what's coming up.
Thank you for the update, Nick. The next on the agenda is another update. We have Andrew Wiens with the Wichita Regional Chamber of Commerce and the South Central Kansas Transportation Coalition. Thank you for being here today, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. And fun to be in front of this esteemed body. I think last time I presented was last year, and most everyone was virtual. So glad to see a lot of smiling faces in the room. As mentioned, my name is Andrew Wiens. I'm the Vice President of Government Relations with the Wichita Regional Chamber of Commerce, and also kind of the staff lead at the Chamber for our South Central Kansas Transportation Coalition. And some of you are members of that, and we work certainly in partnership with local agencies and WAMPO, and kind of function as an advocacy group trying to get regionally significant infrastructure projects approved for our region. So I will provide kind of an update on some of our discussions on the Heartland Flyer, and then Chad, Madam Chair, if you guys would like me to talk more broadly, I'm happy to discuss some of the other projects we've been discussing. So we had a meeting a couple weeks back and had Corey Davis with the Kansas Department of Transportation present to us. He's with the Planning Bureau, and kind of give an update on what's going on with the Heartland Flyer extension. So for those of you who don't know, I think probably everyone in this room does, but the Heartland Flyer extension is a proposed extension. Oh, thank you. Can you tell me how I pull that up here? Is it? Sorry, I think we do have an Excel spreadsheet to share. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, hopefully everyone online can see that project spreadsheet. So this is our list of regionally significant infrastructure projects. Let me just start here since we pulled up the slide or the spreadsheet now. So the Transportation Coalition, if I didn't make this clear, it's a group of private sector business members of the Chamber in South Central Kansas, primarily engineering, consulting, contractors, equipment dealers, and businesses that are really interested in getting economic growth through good transportation projects. As well as local government agencies. So cities, counties, KDOT attends, Kansas Turnpike Authority attends these meetings as well. And we work together to develop a list of regionally significant infrastructure projects that we believe would be helpful for our region to grow. It's not anywhere near the type of spreadsheets that you see at WAMPO. The real experts over here with tips and long-range planning. But these are projects that we've identified that we think will help grow the economy. And our job as a transportation coalition is to advocate for these projects and try to get them funded and approved and built and cars driving over them eventually. So that's a little bit of background. I think one important thing to point out about this list of regionally significant infrastructure projects is that the projects on the left that are under development pipeline. You all know that IKE, the Eisenhower Transportation Program, kind of has a 2-year rolling program, and KDOT puts projects into the development pipeline, and they get designed and right away purchased, et cetera. And then hopefully, if the projects are seen as good to move forward, they get put in the construction pipeline and eventually built. So the projects on the left are projects that our coalition would advocate be added to the development pipeline. They're not there yet. Projects on the right are projects that we would advocate be added to the construction pipeline, if that makes sense. We've taken some projects off our list entirely because they're being built. North Junction was mentioned earlier, and a lot of progress being made on that if you drive through there, which is exciting and a huge project for our region. So I'll kind of stop there. You're welcome to kind of peruse that list and ask me questions if you have any. I will just note as I transition to talking about the Heartland Flyer extension that is a tier 1 project for us. We don't have too many other mode projects besides highway expansion projects in this list. Heartland Flyer extension, you can see in tier 1, and then a transload facility in tier 2 kind of comprise that list. So Heartland Flyer extension, you all know the bipartisan infrastructure legislation that was passed had funding allocated for rail, passenger and freight rail improvements, and we are hoping that Amtrak and the federal government see fit to extend the Heartland Flyer from Oklahoma City up to Newton. Obviously, the Newton is a station, a point on the Southwest Chief route, and it's been an important transportation route through Kansas for a lot of years. Obviously slowed down a bit during the pandemic because of ridership and COVID concerns, but I think has been a key rail route through Kansas, and we're hoping to connect that to the Heartland Flyer, which goes from Oklahoma City on south to Fort Worth and then all over the country from there. And we think it would be an important project for Kansas. I'll give you a quick summary of what KDOT told us and then take questions. I'll also admit freely that I'm not the expert, and I believe Commissioner Pete Meissner from Sedgwick County is on Zoom today and may want to weigh in when and if I mess something up here. So just real quickly, it sounds like KDOT is working on a service development plan, and the final plan is not expected to be done until January 2023. Potentially some cost estimate information will be known a little bit sooner, perhaps this summer. And they're partnering with Amtrak and the FRA for funding. I mentioned the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, the allocated funding. They've completed an RFI, spring 2023, there will be an RFI out on this rail funding. And honestly, I don't think KDOT is sure yet. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I know we have Tom here, probably some others in the room or on Zoom. I don't know that we know the exact process by which funding will come down, which federal agency, DOT, FRA. I don't believe we're sure about that yet. So we're sort of waiting on a final plan, but there's progress being made. It sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, and Commissioner Meissner will correct me, I'm sure if I am, capital expenditures are still anticipated to probably be an 80-20 split between federal government and then local. And obviously a Heartland Flyer extension from Oklahoma City up to Newton goes over 2 states. So ODOT, Oklahoma DOT, and KDOT are both working together on this. And some of the improvements will be made in Oklahoma and some will be made in Kansas. And then as far as operations, obviously we hope that this Heartland Flyer extension is fully sustainable and self-funds, and we have a lot of ridership and no need to backfill or subsidize operations. But if there is a need, it sounds like there will be kind of a stair-step approach. We're hearing that there will be a 6-year program where costs are covered at 90% the first year. I'm sorry, not total costs, but any costs that aren't covered by ridership will be covered at 90%, then 80%, then 70, 60, 50, 40% by the feds in each of the next 6 years. So hopefully the project pencils and we have enough ridership to cover it, and that's not even a concern. But if not, there will be kind of a stair step that will help us cover it in the meantime. So also want to give a shout out to the city of Wichita, Kathy Sexton and her team there that put together a 1-pager, and I think Chad or his team could distribute this talking point document to you at the appropriate time, but talking about maybe 10 reasons, top 10 reasons to expand the Heartland Flyer. I think Amtrak has stated in the past that closing that Newton to Oklahoma City gap is a priority for Amtrak, which is nice to see, obviously, when there's funding out there. You all have probably seen that Wichita State is allowing in-state tuition for students along the I-35 corridor, Oklahoma, Texas, and in fact in Missouri and Colorado as well. And we think that the passenger rail extension could help draw students to our area, not just to Wichita State, also Newman and Friends and other universities, colleges in our region. Students or others can work while they travel rather than having to stay at 10 and 2 and totally focused on driving. So people will work while they ride the train, enhance mobility for older Americans, connects 10 million people in metropolitan areas with passenger rail service. It can be kind of a talent attraction tool. Folks that are looking for this, drives activities to downtowns, increases tax revenues ideally. And then it also improves the BNSF rail line that's currently in existence to help our freight customers that currently use that. So I think I'll leave it there and happy to take any questions, or if anyone else wants to weigh in, happy to have Commissioner Meissner say a few things too.
Thank you, Andrew. Any questions for Andrew or any comments, or Commissioner Meissner, would you like to jump in?
Well, thank you for the opportunity, but Andrew, you did a very nice job of explaining a rather long 3 or 4 meetings we've had. You did this in 8 to 10 minute presentation. You did a nice job, very succinct, and it's a group effort, and it's making progress. So the milestones again are service development plan is tentatively planned to be finished in the first of the year, January, February. And in that we'll have a better picture of the actual capital estimate cost and a guess of the if there is any difference between the costs versus the revenue. So and there might be some information coming out before there, and then the final ruling from FRA it is not official yet. So, but I'm really pleased. Thank you, KDOT, and for working with ODOT. I think they're working maybe weekly, at least every other week. The two secretaries of K and O are talking, and we've got federal support, and we kind of are confirming that the job at the federal level, all of the hard work between Amtrak and FRA and the DOTs around the country, that this now has been set for distribution into the states and in the application process. So the federal work has been accomplished, and now it's down to the regional, state, and local levels. So thank you for letting me say a few words.
Thank you, Commissioner Meitzer. Anything else for Andrew? Thank you, Andrew, for being here. We appreciate it. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Next on the agenda, we'll have a discussion on economic development with Jeremy Hill. If y'all remember, if you're new, last year our focus was on learning more about the members of TPB and the entities that they represent. And so this year the executive committee decided that we would focus on economic development and thinking about economic indicators and trends, and then also local, state, and regional perspectives, and then how we can contribute to future economic development growth. Chairman Dennis, we all know, is very passionate about connecting economic development and transportation. And so we have invited Jeremy Hill to be with us here today from Wichita State University. It's great to see you again, Jeremy, and we'll look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me come. I had the opportunity for quite a few years to be the advisor group to this group. So I have been a part of this group indirectly for quite a while. And I've spoken to this group a number of times over the last 14 some years I've been here. If you want a forecast, here's my forecast booklet from February. Just if you want, don't all run up right now, but get your hands ready. You ready? Because you have to pop in. Let's have a little bit of discussion about regional indicators. So here's what I would do. I'm going to talk about what drives this economy, get into that sector and say what's the update of that. And then talk about indicators of households. Where are they at, and verbs. Sound good? This is not my normal forecast, but we're going to talk about the basic ones that drive this economy, understand the strength of it. Sound good? You got to have your hands up. I don't see your hands up. Who's going to win? All right. So question right here, what drives the regional economy? What sectors? Oh my goodness, no one's going to win? This is not whammies, you know, right? You want to remember that? Go ahead. You got to punch in. They can't hear. Don't you have to? Yeah, you have to say everyone here.
Healthcare.
All right, healthcare. Is that on the list? What else?
Government.
That's self-seeking there. Who said that?
Aircraft.
Who said aircraft? Okay, what else?
Education.
All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you by the size at the 3-digit level. That's important because if I did 2-digit, it would just say manufacturing services. So I want the next level down. Right? I'm going to show you by size, but total number of employment and concentration employment means what's the share of that employment to our economy compared to that same sector to the U.S. economy, right? By that definition, on your left side, total employment, the biggest one is transportation equipment. That's aerospace here, but it could include other things. So that's the largest by employment at the 3-digit, which is including all 3-digit sectors. That's the largest one. When you look at the concentration, that means that same one is over 7 times more concentrated here in Wichita than is the nation. That definitely gives us a competitive edge. You look on there, someone said hospital or healthcare, but hospitals are on there. A lot of those are actually ambulatory healthcare. So you see a lot of healthcare services, and unfortunately government didn't hit the top 10 there. So it should be a support, government should be a support sector anyway. And on the other side, you can see this transit ground passenger transportation. That includes the school buses, because we got over here for Mays, things like that. Those are in there, and we have charter buses, which we have quite a bit here happen as well. But not only you have that in the government side of this. That's a high concentration. When you take that one and say, how do we compare that one sector, transportation equipment, and that's not even aerospace, this is the broader one, and you do it by wages. I went a little further and say, what's the concentration of that wage here? Wichita is the third highest concentration of all MSAs in the entire United States. If I could go down, and the data is suppressed here, if I go down to aerospace products and parts, which is really what we specialize, it would be even higher than that. Some of you already knew that. That's why I played the game. So here's the next one. How is aerospace? Well, you don't need to. If you wonder if there is that, how is aerospace faring in a post-COVID economy? I'll give you some indicators. Oh yeah, you can do your hands too if you really don't want to buzz in. Good, okay, bad. How about that? Bad, good. All right, I'm going to show you. Here's the index that the aerospace companies asked us to create several years ago. This is actually not Wichita specific. This is just aerospace. Our overall index, you can see the recession line, and it dropped and it's coming back. So it's not back to previous peak yet, but you see a pretty sharp bounce back so far. So let me show you the components of it so we understand how aerospace is doing. The top ones, I would say, are the healthier ones. So in the top left, hourly wages, that went up. I don't know if you can see it with the yellow, but it's actually higher than it was pre-COVID. Wages were going up. We are after higher quality workers, right? That is going up nationally. The next one is production is almost back to its previous peak. Just producing in aerospace, almost back to where it was. And you look at defense. This one, I was not optimistic with the shift in presidential elections. I thought this would go down, and it continues to be up. Now with Russia, it's going to continue to be up for a long time. It's not like we're going to have more contracts, but we're definitely going to deliver on those contracts, which if you look at per capita amount of federal funds come here through the military side, we get more than the nation. We get a lot of through aerospace, but there's also other stuff too. So because of the base. So that is a big driver to our regional economy. The bottom ones are what's lower, and employment is not back to its previous peak, right? And you can see that's still way off from the several previous peaks, but it's not back to its previous peak. And civilian aircraft, which includes the commercial side and business jets. That's the export side of that, and it's not back to its previous peak, but it's going straight up. It's doing a lot better. Overall, and by the way, I have an event in here 1 month from now. We're doing a full detailed report on aerospace, all these indicators, the health, vitality here. You should definitely come do that. It's going to be right a month from now. Check it on our website. And you can learn a whole lot more about what we think is going on in aerospace. And we have experts there as well. Molly McMillan, who a lot of you see, is going to be talking about the aerospace side too. All right, I'm ready for you. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or pipe in. Are households healthy, wealthy, and wise? And I did this ranking for all 105, right? So you can look at Butler if you want to talk about Butler or Sedgwick or whatever. How do they compare to the rest of the state? This is overall health and vitality of households. You can throw out a number if you want, if you don't want to do that. No one? Hey, you're being optimistic. We're super good. Hey, we're up there, right? No one else is going to throw one out? Come on, take a risk. Yeah, 105 being the worst. Huh? 50. All right. Top third here. Oh, no, top half of me. Yeah, right in the middle. What else? No? All right. Here's our index of healthy, wealthy, and wise, and you can tell it's the one that's 77, that little shape right there. Sedgwick County did not go very high on this, and I'll show you the components, part of the components of it. And then Butler County is doing a whole lot better at 33. And there's an element of this that is urban and rural that affect it, and suburban. Now there's 9 components to it. I just picked out a few just to be really simplistic. On the health index, which has 3, each of those have 3, the health index is lower and the wealth index is lower. for Sedgwick County, and then the WISE index is higher. Why is that? When you get to more urbanized, you also tend to have a lot more poverty in this market than you have other markets. You have a lot more of that support sector of retail and so forth that also brings in a lot more of that poverty and health issues associated with it. So you get a penalty being more urbanized. So if I really wanted to compare this, we should compare us against, up in the Topeka and Kansas City and Lawrence, but even at that, unfortunately, Sedgwick County is not doing that great on the healthy and wealthy WISE indicator, except for the WISE side. We have lots more higher concentration in some college and bachelor's degree. That is a strength to it. So the weakness of our workforce is that we have decisions that are not so healthy factors, and we don't have savings and other wealth factors associated with it. What does that mean to our economy? That means a lot. That means when you, as employers, we're looking into the workforce, they might have education, but we also have a lot of poverty associated with it. We have other issues associated with the labor market. Some people might be surprised when you actually go to Northwest Kansas, they go pretty high in most of these factors. Tend to be highly educated, and they don't have the poverty, and they're making healthier lifestyle choices. So when you look at those factors, we have the dual side by being an urban market, but that also is the workforce we're dealing with. Gini coefficient, since you probably don't really know that, that's income equality. If I look at the number of people in every single income category, how distributed is it across it? We have less distribution. That's a problem for our workforce. We want more income equality so you can have jobs moving up throughout your career. So that's a big one that I think is a concern for this market, because someone can have a low income job, but how do they move up in their lifestyle? Where's that upward mobility for them? That's a problem for our market. All right, going on the household side, today, this is more of a trend. I like this one better than unemployment because you can hide out. You don't have to be looking for a job. This one you can't hide, and our labor market is all the way back to full employment. Households are fully employed. This idea that workers here are hiding out, they're not, especially when you look at baby boomers retiring and leaving the market. This is an amazing number. We're fully employed today on the household side, looking great. Misery index, I wish I could talk about it. I think I'm already running out of time. Level of misery, our misery is a lot lower than the nation because we're at full employment and home prices are going up, wealth is going up here. So households are doing really good in those aspects, except inflation is stealing a little bit of those wage increases that we've had. How dynamic is this economy? You want to throw out a number, 1 to 105, 1 being the best? Come on, throw it out, be risky. 20, be more optimistic, this is good. 4, we're even getting 8, there you go. All right, we're actually pretty high. I had 18 on here as the overall for 2021 as how dynamic the economy. Now I have it broken up in a few, and look just right next to us, Butler doing really, really well, how dynamic that economy. I had 3 dimensions. One, how diversified that economy is, which in diversification, Sedgwick County really does well. We actually, you think we're not diversified because of the aerospace story, but when you actually diversification amongst all the sectors, we're actually much more diversified. We're very healthy in that way. Even though that's a counterintuitive than you're thinking about. We're actually more diverse than you think. Expansion, we were expanding during that period of time, but we just got beat out by a whole lot of the other urban markets. We should have been a lot higher on this ranking. It should have been 1 or 5. We should have done a lot better, but we're not growing in the period of time I did this. And labor churn, I added that one in this market because I wanted to see a labor market where people are freely quitting jobs and going to new ones, because that shows a healthy labor market. And we had less churn when I was taking this indicator, right? People were holding on jobs and not really moving around. That was showing a weakness in the mobility of labor market. We want labor to move because they become more and more efficient and more productive for the new employer they go to. So it was not being as, that labor market wasn't as optimistic as I wanted it to be in that one. But overall, it came up pretty high in the overall rankings. So here's the other story. How has Wichita compared in cumulative employment since 2000, this is over a decade, compared to all MSAs? And you've seen stories like this for quite a while, but it's always good to remind you, we did not keep up with the rest of the MSAs. And there's a reason why, which I can't talk about now. There's a reason why, and I don't really hold it against us. I think this will shift completely. You know, in a couple of years, we're going to be one of the fastest growing MSAs here, and I can explain at another time. On the wages, because we didn't need labor, wages were falling behind the nation. We were already lower than the nation, but we're falling behind the nation. And so when someone said the last several years, we needed more labor. I said, well, you need to raise wages. And they say, we did, but you didn't do it enough. If you need labor, that was the solution for that labor problem, is not that you just magically show up in a full employment economy. So a problem we got to deal with, and definitely an indicator I've watched for quite a few years. I'm at the end. I want to show you here. Here's this May 11th. We're going to get super detailed in aerospace. We got into skills and knowledge categories, all kinds of really cool stuff to break down what's going on. I did an impact, the first impact in years of aerospace, which I'll release there. I'll leave the rest of the secret, but we have some really cool stuff on there. And then our Outlook event, I'll just share, we've got our annual Outlook event. Some of you already attend that. We normally have around 750 people. We didn't have it last year. We got up to 850. Here's our speakers, ZipRecruiter, which is going to be super cool. She's got data for our market, talking about the issues in labor in a very different way than other people are doing. Talking about, I want to know what's going on in the airline industry, how people are moving in and out, and consumer demand, oil and gas, because that's a key sector for us. And then I'll do the Kansas Outlook. Anyway, that's October 6th. Anyway, any questions about the indicators? I've been doing these I just did a presentation earlier, over an hour and 20 minutes. So usually I talk a lot longer than that. I was down in Derby. Is anyone no one's from Derby? I was down in Derby at the city council, right? And people were wanting me to stay longer. Did you not want it? There you go. Usually I don't, people want to talk longer than I had. I think I'm out of time though. Questions?
Jeremy, thank you so much. And when I saw there was going to be a discussion, I thought, but you really made it a discussion. So thank you very much. Thank you for all you do in our community. I know many of us lean into you and your expertise.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining us today.
I'm going to slip out if anyone, does anyone want a booklet or not? You don't feel like you have to. Oh, okay.
All right, thank you again, Jeremy. We'll go on to the next part of the agenda where we have committee and partnership updates. Regarding the executive committee did not meet last month. We didn't have agenda items, but Chairman Dennis and I do meet once a month, even if we don't have executive committee. So we met last week. We felt it was important just to remind everyone on the TPB that our executive committee meetings are open meetings and they're not closed. So anyone who is interested can come and observe. The only time that we would close the meeting is when we're doing Chad's annual evaluation, and that's just for his confidentiality with employment. So we're transparent. If anybody wants to join the executive committee to observe, just let Chad or Chairman Dennis or me know, and we'll let you know when and where. They're not like at a certain scheduled time like this meeting is, but we do try and meet monthly before this meeting just to make sure we're prepared and efficient. Next is committees, active transportation. Alan, do you have a report to give us today?
Just real quickly, our next meeting is June 1, Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. It's virtual. All of you are welcome to come in and we encourage to attend. We'll be hearing presentations from the city of Wichita and the city of Garden Plain about what their active transportation plans are and what they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for your commitment. Appreciate it. Jack Brown with, Safety and Health with Jack. I don't see Jack or anyone from the Safety and Health Committee. Okay, we'll go on then to KDOT. Tom Hine.
Thank you. I want to remind you that this week is Work Zone Awareness Week. It's a national campaign to make people aware of how dangerous it is out in those work zones, both for drivers and for our workers that are out there. So we have lots of activities this week, a blog every day from people who have had close calls in work zones. We've got contests. We've got a full week, and it's all on the KDOT website. I encourage you to go to that and check that out. We will also, I believe, the new bridges on East Kellogg will be lit orange. Tomorrow is Go Orange Day, so we look forward to that. If you get out and about during the evening, well, drive under those bridges in the orange, hopefully. Hopefully that works out. I've seen them in orange, and it looks great. Of course, we have the North Junction project going. We're in that second year of 3 years on the 2 ramps that feed into southbound I-235. And we will, in September, open bids for the next phase, which is another 3-year project, and it takes the North Junction down south to the other K96 135 junction. And there's a lot of work to be done there, as K96 will now peel off of I-235, travel down to that next piece of K96 independent of 135. Right now it's shared. So that will be a big phase. There's some property acquisition. There's a lot of work to be done down there. They're still developing those plans, and we will open those bids in September for that. And again, a 3-year project. We have lots of other work zones for Work Zone Awareness Week this week. We've got 3 projects on K96, 2 of them out west of town and 1 on the east side of town. We have a guardrail project coming up at the North Junction, and that's going to include a weekend closure. So be aware of that. I will put plenty of notice out, but every time we do something like a weekend closure of an area, it surprises so many people. We try not to do that. And the city of Wichita will start a project very soon on northbound 135 to make final repairs to that 42-inch water line east of northbound 135 at about, just north of 13th Street. So we will have some right lane, right shoulder blocked, and the 13th Street on-ramp for about a month as they put a new piece in there. And Thursday of this week, Secretary Lorenz will be down in Wichita at the Kansas Aviation Museum. I believe it's a 10:30 event, and it is informing everyone in this room and anyone else that attends about the bill, bipartisan infrastructure law, and what it means to Kansas and what it will mean to local communities. That is an event at the Aviation Center that requires a 9 to 11. Thank you. It's 9 to 11 on Thursday. And it does require registration. So go to the KDOT website and look for that, and be sure and register and be there 9 to 11 on Thursday. Thank you. And that's my report.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom. We appreciate it. Thanks for being here today. Next on the agenda is KDOT Mike Moriarty. Mike, I think you're virtual with us today. Thanks for joining us.
All right, well, this is Matt Messina filling in for Mike. You threw me off there. I don't think that he was going to be joining at all. He's actually at a transportation conference in Manhattan. I don't really have anything else to add. Tom did a good job of covering everything, including the bill meeting that is coming to Wichita this Thursday morning from 9 to 11. I did, however, in the chat, I know you're all virtual, drop the link straight to the registration. That way you don't have to do any searching to find it. So hopefully WAMPO staff will be able to distribute that quickly. Aside from the Thursday morning event, there is a later virtual event that you can all participate in if this Thursday doesn't work out.
All right, thank you. And sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you. I just saw the double M and thought it was the other,
Yeah,
the other
I
double
figured
M.
that might be it. That happens a lot between us. Thank you.
Okay, and then next, the Federal Highway Administration.
This is Cecily Cochran. I'm here, but we have nothing current to report at this time.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Does anyone have any other business or any discussion for the good of the group or any announcements? Wow, you can tell Chairman Dennis we like broke a record for this meeting, right? So thank you everyone for joining us today. If I don't hear anything else, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. All right, see you next month. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.